Hello and welcome to the episode of The Card Show. In this week's episode, I thought it would only be right that we talk about the USA tariffs, as we call them, the Trump tariffs, I think they've been known as, and obviously the effect it's currently having on sort of grading abroad. I think a few other companies have said that they're continuing to take cards and sort things out. I think Beckett have come out and said that. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. So you've obviously heard the news now that this Trump tariff is obviously starting a bit of a war with China. I think it's like 40% it's got a tariff on them, the imports into US. UK wise, it is 10%. So in some respects, quite lucky. In other respects, it's obviously a whole new thing that's brought a lot of issues. And when it comes to your cards, if you're sending your cards to PSA, that is where the tariff would come in. Currently PSA have announced that they have stopped accepting international submissions. I think that's obviously because they would don't want to be sending you another bill for extra fee, which you're thinking, what is this for? You might think you're being upcharged and your card's going to come back into worth a lot more money than it is, because that's how PSA works with the upcharge thing. If with this new tariff, for instance, if your card is valued at £1,000, there'll be £100 sort of fee on top of that. There's the tariff, because that is what your declared value is. So PSA have said they've closed down that sort of option. You cannot send your cards to PSA if you're outside of US. Again, the reason was it protects the customer from fees on high value cards. But again, because the tariff is it's not on the grading of cards, it's the fact they're going to the country. So it's declared value of the cards. So yeah, if you have a card that has a declared value of £1,000, $1,000, it's the £100, $100 sort of tariff on that. And again, if you have a bigger card at £5,000, it's £500 a fee, which obviously is an extra fee, extra sort of outgoing, because using send to PSA and your card is valuable about that, you might get upcharged, and you sort of wait for that email. Some people get very happy with that email because it means the card is graded 10, it's worth more than they thought. But now you've got this as well. It's an extra £500. Again, if you're in this for sort of reselling purposes, then it's another hit to what you could be in for. I mean, you could get lucky and not be in the card for that amount and still be making decent money from it, or you could be in the card of quite a lot of money anyway, getting it graded and hoping for a 10 to sort of claw back that money and more, and then having that hit is even worse. And again, if this is a PC card, it's another hit on you. If you've got a very nice personal card that's going to be a one of one, etc., and it's worth the 5, 6, 7, 8,000, just have an extra £700. On top of that is it's about going to a card that you probably spent X amount of money on. So it leaves people outside the US in a weird predicament, right? We have some companies, like I said, Beckett, have said that they're continuing. I've not heard anything from SGC, but with their sort of partnership with PSA, I presume it's going to be very similar. And I don't think TAG have said anything just yet. They were sort of on the rise a little bit. So yeah, as from that point of view, knowing that PSA is sort of the place to send it to for maximum profit, it kind of knocks it out of the park a little bit for us in the UK or worldwide outside of US. There is, I think a lot of people asked about cards that have already been sent there. I believe if they're already there, that is fine. Before the date of this tariff. And I'm sure it's the same if you send it to a middleman. As long as it's been sent over beforehand, you're fine. You will not get tariff of it going out of US back to you. So there's one sort of plus if you're lucky enough to get your stuff in prior. What I was going to talk about is obviously the way to sort of negate this in some respects. If you're in it sort of flipping wise, is one way I do things. Not as much as I should. That's just because I personally want to have the card. But there is sort of lockers over in the US you can have. So you can buy your card from the US, you go to US locker, and they can then submit the card to PSA. Again, it's a very cost-effective way. It always has been for me. But again, I like to sometimes have the card because I can, it's not like you're having a separate section or something where it's like, oh, it's stored in this locker. We have a separate section with this professional cleaner that just cleans cars all day, sort of thing. And it's an extra service add-on. They just class it as a grading service, and that's it. And some will give it a little clean. I'm sure they'll wipe it back with the claim, but how much did he want your car to gem compared to what you would do, right? I mean, you got it. You were looking over that card in a little microscope and microfiber, and that's it. Is it jeweler's loop? There we go, and make sure the card's in the best position possible to get the highest grade possible. So yeah, there is that option to keep getting cards graded PSA. I can personally say ship my cards because I've used their service. I've not done that with Gorilla. I think it's now called like GPUS, something like that. But I've not used their service for that. I've used their locker service. I've never used him to then submit. So that is an option of getting one of them accounts. I think Ship My Cards is free monthly, but pay per card that lands at their locker, whereas Gorilla should be paid monthly or yearly. So that is another option that you could use. As you have to still buy your cards from the US to make sure it's a US seller, not like buy it from China and get it sent to US locker, because then you're just going to be in the same position of having the card at home and sending it yourself. What's going to be interesting is, will they now, because of this cut off, this may only be a temporary cut off from PSA, they may find ways around it, they may find ways on to negate things. But will they now see a rise in sort of UK, European graders? And even, will we start seeing some grading companies from China and stuff like that we've never heard of sort of appear a lot more in the marketplaces, because people have gone and graded locally to get the cards graded and try and get some money. Because if you're in for some cards and you can't get a maximum PSA at the moment, but you need a quick turnaround, for myself, it'd have to be somewhere in UK, right? I still have to go to MGC, Ace Grading, and hope that I can claw back the money of the card, the grading fee, and a bit of profit. Obviously, it's easier said than done, because you know how the market goes sometimes. So if the cards come back a 9 or an 8 or something, then obviously you're gonna have to eat the proverbial. If the card come back a 10, you're then gonna try and hope that people will semi-value it close to an SGC, like that sort of area. There has been a few sales of these alternate, should we say, grading companies selling more than a PSA. It's always going to depend. I think if you have a lower numbered card, it's definitely going to help, as opposed to having a base card, obviously, because the scarcity matters, and if you've got it in a 10, it's that's no good sign. You'd pay more for an MGC 10 just fact it's been graded, right, and been judged when it's by a reputable company, than you would for a raw card or something else that's maybe an 8 or a 9. Obviously, depending if it's like a Beckett 9 or a 9.5 or something, SGC 9.95, maybe you would pay a bit more for them, or thereabouts, depending on what you respect for sort of MGC or Ace sort of grading capabilities. But it's always nice to get something. I mean, I've bought cards that have been, again, I'm more of a buyer of the card, but I've bought cards that are GMA, GMA 10s. I was like, it's a 10, it's cheap. It's basically like paying for the grading fee, paying $12, $13 for a card that's already graded a 10. Why not? With nothing special. Again, if it's a numbered card, like I was saying, if we're at the low numbered, there's only 5 of them, you don't really think them up that often, and someone's put the price on because they got MGC 10, then it's up to the people then to say, I can pay that because I've not seen it come before, I really want the card. And if the future they want to crack it and resubmit to PSA, for instance, it's on them, and hope the PSA price will be nice price to get sent over. So you're wasting like an extra $20, whatever. And did they get a good grade back? Or if it's a 9 or a 10? If it's personal, they don't really care. If they're looking to sort of buy all these MGC 10s and Ace 10s, whatever, then crack and resubmit with PSA, for instance, for future profit, then you are hoping a lot and praying that MGC and Ace have a good grading sort of standard. But it's very interesting to see if we'll see any more of these European grading companies. I think it's Gold Standard from Germany, sort of pop up in prominence now because the people use them locally. We shall see. I think another thing to think about as well is what happens in the market now with PSA 10s. Because from outside of the US point of view, the only place I can get these 10s now is on the market or, have the cost myself. So more often than not, you're going to be looking on the US to have got the cars, graded them, got them returned, and had a quick turnaround for the market. Hopefully PSA can sort of catch up a bit now as well. So when they do open up again for European and worldwide sort of submissions, it's a bit of a flawless sort of submission process, and it's not taking forever to come back. It's a quick turnaround because they're sort of caught up. Because I'm sure I know they grade like 1 million cards a month. I think it is. Is it 1 million a month? I know Gemrate do some of this. It's a ridiculous amount of cards. That a good percentage there will be from Europe, in worldwide. So hopefully that they can catch up a little bit, and hopefully do like not to rain on USA's parade, but do like a little worldwide special. Everyone outside the US sending cards in at a discounted rate on, I do it on all of them, vintage, modern, just all the cards. Anything you send in, TCGs, etc. Whatever you send in, discounted rate for, waiting and having to do with the Trump tariff madness. But we can live in dream world, right? It is PSA. We'll still go there no matter what. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens to PSA prices, especially the 10s, because it could become a bit more scarcity now. Obviously, they have changed their ruling. I think 60/40 gone on to 55/45, so it's potentially harder to get a PSA 10. And now with potentially a lot more cards going to other grading companies, we could see a very weird scenario in the market. I mean, there's been that sort of tip in the scales, essentially, I suppose, in the last couple of years with FGC. Because of their turnaround and because some people like Tuxedo, people were sending their cars to SGC to be the first on the market. So they wanted to get the card graded, unlike as soon as, so then people could buy a graded card they wanted, before people even buying raw cards on the secondary market. So that's another thing to think about. Where do people then go now after this? Do people go elsewhere, and you just, as I said, the PSA 10s get scarce? Do people hold cars now, and we can have a bit of a backlog, for products that are getting released now? We have to wait 6 months, 7 months to see them graded, or a lot of their cards graded in PSA slabs because everyone's waited, which is going to have a massive effect, because by the time that happens, I've seen new product comes out and people sort of want the new chase, right? It's been very interesting. I mean, I'd love to know your thoughts. As always, do you think this Trump tax lasts long? Do you think we're in this for a few months, or do you think this is life now? Do you think we'll see a rise in sort of European and UK graders because it's just so much easier for us? I think MGC's turnarounds, I think the best is gold. His package is in a few days. Silver is like 10 days, something like 2 weeks. Bronze is like a month. I don't think Ace have opened up their basic tier yet from what happened with their robbery. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens on that front. Is that something we do just for pure ease, or do people hold? Because the hold is it's a dangerous thing, isn't it? It's a dangerous thing to do. I'm just going to check. I'm sure. Yes, MGC did put out a message. I'm going to read this out. I'll read out word for it. I don't want to any misconstrued messages. So here's what it says. So it's a message to our community with the recent announcement that the grading services from US grading services have been suspended due to new tariffs imposed by US government. I wanted to personally reach out and provide some clarity and reassurance. At Majesty Grading Company, we are fully operational and we are more committed than ever to supporting the UK and European collector base. We've been here before during the pandemic when PSA closed its doors and the hobby saw unprecedented demand. MGC stepped up, and now, as history looks set to repeat itself, we're ready once again. We understand this news will create uncertainty and raise questions, but please rest assured we're already taking necessary steps to ensure our turnaround times remain consistent, our communication improves, and the high standards of grading and encapsulation that you've come to expect from us are upheld with pride. A brand new order tracking system is being rolled out to give you clearer updates and more visibility throughout the grading process. We know how important transparency is, especially in times like these, and we're doing everything we can to keep you informed every step of the way. Above all, our quality will never be compromised. We've worked hard to build a reputation as the UK's #1 grading company, not just through volume, but through trust, consistency, and care. This isn't just a business for us, it's a passion and responsibility we take seriously. To all our existing customers, we thank you for your continued trust. To the collectors now looking for a new grading home, we're here to welcome you with open arms. We're ready, we're focused, and we're proud to continue leading the way in the UK and beyond. Kind regards, Jake Kirkham, MGC Director. I thought that was important to read out because I touched on Ace not opening their base tier yet, and it's you sort of, I don't want to say you're one step ahead because it was slightly unseen, I suppose. It would do. I know Trump talked about these tariffs, but we didn't know how it was going to affect. But MGC seemed to be prepared to sort of have an influx in volume, which we just talked about. Will it be a push that? So they're expecting it, I suppose, similar to what they had in 2020. Obviously, Ace didn't really have that in 2020, so it's the first time, and they're coming back off their sort of big theft. But yeah, it could be a misstep. It could further put a stranglehold for MGC on the sort of the UK European scene. I know they've got a few hubs around Europe now as well. So yeah, fair play to MGC for getting themselves in positions, more grading, more transparency, better sort of communication, and getting ready for an influx. So we could see some more MGC cards. Again, that could be a play in the long run as well for an investor looking out for these MGC cards that come in, high grades, because theoretically a high grade from one company should be getting a high grade from another company. It'd be very rare or very sad, should I say, if you're cracking a MGC 10 properly and then send it off and getting like a PSA 5 and 6, whatever, or a 7. This should never be that bad. We hope. But yeah, that's pretty much the talking point for this one. I mean, the other thing was, I think it was 3. I see recording this. This is the Sunday, the 6th, so it comes out on the 7th for Monday. But as recording this, there was like 3 card shows on this weekend, which was kind of cool because it was dotted around the UK. We had the Northeast Card Con up in Newcastle way. We had the Manchester Card Show. We had, was it the Lancashire Card Show on at Blackpool Stadium on the Saturday? The Manchester Card Show was on a Sunday. And then we had the cards and collectibles in Black Park, London on the Sunday as well. So, it's like a good spine of England. You didn't have to go too far from areas. If you're in Northeast, not that area, or North, I suppose Newcastle's not a million miles away. You had that one. If you're Northwest like myself, you had 2 over the weekend, Blackpool and then Bolton, I think the Manchester Card Show was. And then after in London, you have Black Park, Wembley. So it was nice, easy, and it helps build the communities. I think it was like 5,000 people came through the doors at Cards and Collectibles in London. I don't know what the capacities were at the other 3 shows, but Bolton Football Stadium has a big capacity. I've been to a show, it's 2 rooms, that's got a big capacity. I've been to a show there before. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a good sign as well. that people weren't panicking after the tariffs and sort of dialing back from cards to sort of go, well, I can't really grade them off at the moment. They're putting money into it to hold for X, Y, Z amount of time. Maybe collectors think it's a good time to go out and buy cards now. I'm still personally buying for my collection. I probably should stop, to be fair, at the moment and catch up because it's going to be a bit wild because there's been some, again, NFL off season in it. So the price sort of dips. It's a good time to buy a little bit. And people want some fun, I suppose, as well. New Year and all that. Even if it's a 4th month now, right? New Year. But yeah, there's been some back inside, and I think so. Just sometimes, you're not looked for a card, but then you start looking for a card, you actually realize the price is pretty good. Again, because I'm trying to buy sort of Chiefs players from this dynasty era, quote unquote dynasty era, just as sort of a memory, because it's not gonna last forever, this era. So yeah, I'm trying to get some nice, even though some nice numbered cards. Try and get low numbered if I can, and use the autos if I can. I bought a lot of the players, who especially, like I just picked up a Hollywood Brown Tessellate Mosaic from last year's Mosaic. This year's just come Mosaic. Because in the Chiefs uniform, it's number 15. I don't think he's signed, so yeah, missed out there. Got a couple of Xavier Worthy rookie cards, which is nice. A couple of autos, which helped. I didn't think I was getting an auto because of the whole unlicensed thing, but the price was like a good price for me to do it. So I got the XRC prior because I was like, oh, I've never had an XRC before of someone like this. So I'd get that one. It was a good price. And I could have waited, to be fair, but I didn't. I got it as soon as it came out. And same with the autos, they got them at a good price. They were tops. I got 2 in the end, 2 tops. One, I can't remember if one's. I didn't get an exception. Yeah, I cannot actually remember what they're from. One's finest. One's definitely finest. But yeah, so that's not important. But yeah, I managed to pick up some nice collection cards. I even picked up a Tyrann Mathieu the other day. Tyrann Mathieu, I think it's like to 25 or to 15. It's a score card, but it's in a score auto. It's someone I just wanted to have in the collection. It wasn't like a big card I needed to get. I could have spent a few more dollars and if I picked up a more of a premium card, should we say? But for someone like this, it's just nice to have it in the collection. And I'll be doing the same with like Brashard Breeland and stuff like this. Frank Clark, there's someone that I enjoyed watching, but I don't have to have the highest of high-end cards for them unless the price is like too good to be true. I think it happened with my Kareem Hunt, I'm pretty sure I need to double check this because I've not actually, it's just gone to my locker yet. I've not actually gotten to the home. I'm pretty sure I did something similar with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm going to get like a nice card of his. I think I got the gold vinyl or gold prism, one of the two. I got a decent-ish card. I hope anyway. I don't know. I should check on that. So yeah, I'm still after a nice Kelsey card, nice Kelsey auto. I will spend a little bit more on that. So that's one of the reasons I need to slow down a little bit and buying all like sort of the bit part players that have been around for the last few years. Just get in there and then I need to make the plunge and get the Kelsey. The Mahomes one's going to be a myth just for the price. As you can imagine, I say Kelsey's second most expensive. And yeah, Mahomes is what 3-4 times. You're looking at easily $1,500 for Mahomes auto if you're lucky. Kelsey, you can pick up a couple like $299 area. For the cheapest I've seen, give or take. But yeah, and that's on what I'm collecting. I will do a City one too. Well, Man City one soon. Just for like the formidables, the treble winners, the Centurions, that sort of era. The problem is with that is I probably will go a bit further back as well and try and get like a Sean Wright Phillips and Sean Gororo and reminisce the Tevez. Nice. I would like Ali Benarbia auto. There we go. Blast from the past. But yeah, that's enough of me what I'm collecting at the moment. Let me know your thoughts on the whole Trump tariffs and other graders, PSA 10s. Are they going to go up? Don't see on PSA 9s. I buy a lot of PSA 9s. I buy the cards on the grades. I actually even typed in the other day, I think I typed in like PSA 8s and some of the cards on there were bangers. I was like, oh, it's like low numbered cards, like, Obsidian and stuff like a bit thicker stock in National Treasures. And it's like, it could be worth a punt. It could be worth a punt. So yeah, that's another episode done, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children. What is it? Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Let me introduce you to the Royal Digest is badass Billy Gunn. 13 partners of the world. But yeah, I think I watched it. I can't remember how it actually goes. But until next time, take care. Peace.